Yun!
Ayun! Boom!
We are
Salamat,
back again.
Mark. I know, Mark. How was our discussion on Marcoses? Takot ka na, baka mataka tayo.
Mainit. Hindi, ikaw ang atakihin. Ang dami mong nasabi
Ayun.
nun. Pero,
by the way, ito yung book na sinasabi ko, How Asia Works.
How Asia
Promise.
Works.
If you read it, it's easy to read. Madali siya i-explain. Tapos, ang dami niya mga footnotes and sources na mga 70 pages. Footnotes lang, no? Everything is here. Bakit nag-succeed ang Taiwan? Bakit nag-succeed ang South Korea? Bakit nag-succeed ang Singapore and Malaysia? Bakit hindi nag-succeed ang Pilipinas among others? Maraming discussions about things that went wrong during Marcos and before and after. So it's not blaming specific person but yung mga elites natin in general. And kaya Mark, today we thought na it's not enough to just talk about the Marcoses and bakit sila medyo mabango ngayon or they have momentum. We also have to discuss sino yung loser ng new phenomenon ngayon. So because unfortunately, politics is zero-sum. Kung may umakyat, tendency someone else is going down, no? And in this case, ito yung mga liberals, no? So, liberals, dilawan because of the yellow ribbon. There are different ways to put it. Of course, just like the pro-Marcos and pro-Duterte people, the liberals are not monolithic, no? So, iba-iba sila, no? May 50 shades ng mga liberals. May mga more left, may mga more elite, burgis, may mga feeling Borges, di ba? So ano yan? Medyo spread yan, no? Tignan natin, we're gonna analyze today what went wrong at kung may pag-asa pa rin ba ang mga liberal because we're gonna tie that to the issue of what? Whether Leni is going to run next year. And if she doesn't run, who will she support? Who would she support rather, no? Bukas pa siya to support someone we're gonna discuss later on or not.
So pag-usapan natin.
And
meron din tayong kailangan nilang abangan din sa podcast. We will talk about my underwear and kung ano yung connection niya doon sa ating topic for today, which is the Liberal Party. So yung mga hindi masyadong familiar sa akin, ngayon yung malalaman yung tungkol sa connection ng Liberal Party sa underwear ko. Okay, so abangan nila yan sa takbo nitong podcast natin.
Hindi ko alam yan. Ano yan? Surprise. Surprise. Sige. So, Mark, let's start with you, no? Gusto ko yan. Why are the liberals so unpopular? What went so wrong with them? Bakit ang hina nila, especially in YouTube, online, and in general? Bakit parang hindi na mabango? You know, why the bloom, is off the rose? You know, why do you think so?
So, I think kung titignan mo, yung pinaka-basic na dahilan, they were the punching bag for the last 5 years ng Duterte administration and lahat ng platforms in social media, in TV, in radio, so lahat sila yung parating punching bag. And also, ang titignan din natin is they weren't able to fight back. Hindi sila nakalaban doon sa mga tira sa kanila. And yun ang nag-contribute kung bakit ang hirap ng sitwasyon nila ngayon, kung bakit nung 2019, none of their bets were able to win a Senate seat. And kung bakit Leni is struggling na sumipa sa mga surveys ngayon. So lahat yan, konektado yan eh. Kung paano yung naging strategy ng Liberal Party for the last 5 years. Napakahina talaga nung kanilang pag-fight back doon sa mga atake sa kanila. And ako sa channel ko, ang dami kong criticism sa kanila on their part. Kasi pwede mo ding sabihin na isang reason why the Duterte administration, kung titignan mo, looks strong. Diba, sinasabi nga nila yung mataas na approval rate. One of the reasons then is yung failure din ng opposition na ipakita yung mga hindi magagandang nangyari sa administrasyon. Of course, lahat naman yan, may maganda, may pangit. So, ang laking failure din dun sa part ng opposition na hindi nila maipakita ng maayos or in a way na makukuha nung masa or maa-accept nung masa. So
Can you specify, Mark, no, as ano yung mga big failures nila or alleged failures nila? Tsaka yung tactically speaking, why do you think mahina sila in terms of online? What is your hunch? I mean, you're not a Liberal Party guy, but you have your outsider view. Can you share, please?
Ito, pinaka isang number one kong reklamo nga sa Liberal Party. Wala silang presence halos whatsoever sa YouTube. Doon ang isang number one
Bakit kaya?
na takot sila eh. Takot silang mabash.
Snowflake?
Ha?
Snowflake? Yun,
Hindi
snowflake sila.
kasi masakit naman kasi talaga mambash yung DBS, and I experienced that once in a while.
And BBMs, Duterte, and
And the
Marcos
Marcos
people.
loyalists. Oo, masakit din
Yeah.
naman talaga sila mambash, and
Yeah.
kung if you're not na ganun ka tigas yung dibdib, ako siguro makapalang talaga ang mukha ko or wala akong pakialam, mahirap talagang tiisin yung the online bullying that you will receive. Pero yun nga, hindi ko nga magets, maski isa sa kanila walang nagpa-participate halos for the last 5 years sa YouTube. Walang major push. So walang sumasagot. So yung merong mga channels na naglalabas na ganito yung history ng martial law, ganitong walang sumasagot sa
alternative reality.
Oo,
Yeah,
and no one is calling them out. Na yung mga specific persons. Wala pa akong narinig na, oy, ikaw, sangkay dyan, mali yung sinasabi mo about Marcos history, about sangkay dyan is the biggest Marcos vlogger sa YouTube. So walang ganung calling out na nangyayari. Parang hindi nila masyadong pinapansin eh.
So they abandon the field to the enemy, parang kumbaga.
Hindi, they don't think it's important lang eh. Siguro ganun eh.
Or baka snob. Baka snobbery. Parang, low level lang YouTube. Doon tayo sa mga columns, doon tayo sa mga international, mga ganun. Kasi napansin ko, they're very active. Punta ka mga top columnists, my colleagues, among others, they're very passionate and all. I think, siguro they look down, some of them at YouTube. Or ayaw nila magpa-influence.
Merong disconnect
May snobbery siguro din.
Exactly. Actually, ito exactly yung sinabi mo. Merong disconnect kung nasaan yung audience. And I think it comes from yung lumang pagtingin of how you win elections and how you get the people on your side. Kaya yun naman ang isang criticism din kay Leni na masyadong parang masyadong scripted or masyadong what do you call that? Parang masyadong proper.
Prim and proper. Yeah. Prim and proper. Hindi masyadong spontaneous. Although she had some back and forth with sila Mocha and all, right? Last year.
There were a few moments like that. Kaso yun nga
which did well. Which did very well, no? I think many people loved it. Yeah.
Di ba yung nag-serve siya ng lugaw because they were yun kaso that was more of mga konting pangyayari instead
exception to the rule.
Exception to the rule and that really affected them na I think yun nga masyado nilang nilulok daw minamaliit and tinitingnan nila yung old style. And kasi ang uso since 2016 hanggang ngayon na hindi pa rin magets nitong mga nasa Liberal Party is yung mas prefer ng tao, lalo na sa online, yung real talk. Yung diretso. Na hindi ako perfecto, ganito ako, babaero ako. Hindi ako example lang yun ganito ako, lasinggero ako.
May backstory yata yan.
Or ano ako. Pero, ganito. I'm telling the truth na ganito yung problema.
Spontaneous, accessible, kung mga populist. Yeah.
I think the term is holier than thou. May ganong sense.
Dapat authentic ka, in short.
Authentic. So, yun ang meron, yun ang wala sa Liberal Party ngayon, in my opinion, at yun ang marami, si Chris Aquino. So merong I always say this sa channel ko, the Liberal Party.
But what about Agot Isidro, for instance? I mean, among others, she supports the liberals, right? Hindi ba? Artista siya. I think inatake niya si Paulo Duterte or something like that. Nabaliw si Duterte or something like that. We have had some, di ba? Mga liberal supporters who have
maybe
at least on Facebook,
had a YouTube channel. Baka mas
and Twitter, napakalakas talaga. Napakalakas talaga.
That's another aspect, yung echo chamber nyo yung echo chamber ng Liberal Party.
Well, I'm active on Twitter, so you can accuse me. Yeah, sure.
Yan. So, yun pa yung isang doon. Yun pa yung isang factor din doon na the opposition minsan naman parang lahat na lang ng ginagawa ng Duterte administration is mali. So that term turns off a lot of people then.
Yeah. Parang obstructionist kayo. Nega kayo ng nega.
Yun. So din yun? Factor din yun. So parang kasi your opponent, the administration is painting you as someone na obstructionist. And KJ, you are playing into that yung
Right.
portrayal nila sa So yun din yung maling siguro it would help din naman the opposition if once in a while they would praise the good projects of the administration.
Yes.
So mas mukhang balanse yung kanilang tira. So I think isang
What
factor
good
pa yun.
projects, for instance? I mean, siguro ang sasabihin ng mga opposition is like, puro palpa, kaya ano gagawin namin, di ba? I mean, like, for instance, kamusta ang management ng COVID-19 pandemic and what's going right? I mean, in my case, for instance, I support, I criticize depending on the issue. For instance, on Bangsamoro, I supported the president. I had a column, Duterte's Finest Hour, na even the DS people really liked. I support that he's build. I support that he's less reliance on America, mga ganon. So in my case, so even though, again, we can discuss it later, I've been accused of being liberal. I mean, I'm liberal in the sense I believe in freedom of expression, freedom of press and all. But definitely I'm not liberal party, right? And for some of the people who may know a little bit about me, back in the days, no, mga 2012-13, I started as a blogger on Huffington Post, no? Ito yung time na nagtuturo pa ako sa atin. So you can go to Huffington Post, tignan yung pangalan ko. I think I was among the few Philippine-based people writing. At titignan nyo, I was very critical of the previous administration. In fact, a lot of my friends who would later on be in the Duterte camp and all, they became my friends from my blogger days when I was criticizing Aquino days. But we'll discuss that later on, no? But yun nga, tama ka in a sense that I think the issue here is that they play into the stereotype, no? In a sense,
Yun,
snob,
exactly.
Snob, obstructionist, killjoy, criticize whatever. Even though there's sometimes, ito, Mark, sorry for cutting you there, because the thing with the populists is that they raise the right issues and questions. Agree talaga ako. Yung mga sinasabi ni Pangulong Duterte na mga hipokrito, mga masyadong depende sa Amerika, mga ganon. I mean, it's true. I mean, that's a reality. Or mga oligarchs na nag-abuso ng bansa. Sorry, I've been writing also about this way before Duterte became the national figure he is. So I agree with him. Although, of course, the disagreement could be on the solutions, yung methods, or yung war on drugs, dapat pa ganyan or ganyan. But it seems hindi ganun yung response. No? Yung parang whatever Duterte does is wrong. Whatever he says is wrong. At napansin ko, pinagtawanan din yung accent niya minsan, pinagtawanan yung itsura ni Pangulong Duterte, which I think is very bad. Snobbery yan. Snobbery. Ayaw talaga ng Pinoy yan, di ba?
And yung ginagawa nung sa opposition madalas, if you always attack yung mga supporters, kahit yung mga supporters na hindi naman ganun ka hardened o ganun katigas, the more you attack them, the more na they become the more you push them to the side nung kalaban mo, 'di ba? The more they become emboldened, the more hardened they become. So ganun yung nangyayari. They always play into that trap na they would call the supporters of the administration as paid trolls. So there are paid trolls, pero marami diyan ay mga totoong tao talaga.
Right, marami mga genuine supporters.
Genuine supporters
people, na like you click, right?
Na yung iba pangit lang talaga ugali. 'Di ba kung
or sa online lang, balahura online,
sa
but
online,
mabait offline.
in person iba naman. So yun yung mga andaming pagkakamali doon sa opposition side. And yun nga sinabi mo na parang si Duterte parang nag-focus doon sa mga kamalian or sa mga baho nung mga some of the establishments or some of the if you don't own up dun sa mga pagkakamali mo or sa pagkukulang mo, people will not believe you So yun yung kakulangan
Kung perfecto ka, medyo unbelievable So
medyo unbelievable
Yes.
Yun
Yes. Well, I mean, for me, there were a number of big problems with the Aquino administration. Again, you can go into my writings long time ago. Panahon pa ni Aquino, sinasabi ko na hindi ko lang sinabi yan para na matuwa mga titiya sa akin. One problem is sobrang late nag-starting infrastructure development project at yung naging head ng transportation si Mar, parang inupuan lang yata niya. Or at least that's the accusation against them na hindi nila na-recognize yan. In their defense, ang sinasabi nila, this is where familiar, di ba? The same way na the DDS attacks the so-called Dilawan for everything that went wrong. Remember, that's what they were doing also to Arroyo. Like everything that goes wrong, dahil sa Arroyo administration. Yan. I mean, let's not forget, marami nangyari sa Arroyo administration we're not talking about there, no? So one reason they were saying is that kailangan nila ayusin yung budget, marami mga kababalakan nangyari, kaya tumagal sila. But for me, starting in 2014 with your big infra projects, tapos 2016, patapos ka na medyo hindi good timing yon. Sana 2013 pa lang or 12 nag-start na kayo para maipakita na kayo sa election time. At naalala ko yung ilang beses nag-shutdown yung Metro, yung MRT, tapos si Andaya ba yung secretary noon? Yung parang yung mga responses sila was
Abaya,
dismissive. Abaya, sorry. Yeah. Medyo dismissive or something like that. That was not very encouraging, no? Tapos may yung ibang cabinet diyan, may taga ng payong habang naglalakad. I mean, like, you're sending all the wrong signals,
Tsaka,
diba?
they were not also that hindi nila masyadong pinush yung mga achievements nila. So hindi, that's
so
yun
kulang
yung
sila ng trolls. Kasi Mark, di ba meron Yellow Army dati. In fact, I'm not gonna name names, but some of the big bloggers now, I know they were affiliated with the Yellow Army. Kasi eto, Mark, eto yung theory, no? Ang theory is the previous administration went all the way against the previous administration, which is Arroyo, right? May Yellow Army sila. So ang ginawa ng DDS was just to push it to the logical extreme. Mas malaking army online at mas i-blame lahat sa previous admin as if hindi nag-exist ang mga Marcoses, ERAPs, whatever. So parang some would say there's actually some continuity between the two administrations. Kasi naalala mo na parang under the previous administration, parang ang dating is sila lang tama, mali lahat. And I mean, you kind of get that sense with the Duterte people. Like they're the only one, real change, doing something about it. Not to mention both President Aquino, God bless his soul, and President Duterte also openly said they're against corruption, no? So I think there are some continuities na very, very, very interesting dyan. And Mark, naalala mo ba nung time na yan, parang there was a lot of criticism of Chris Aquino or yung mga artista daw sa ABS pag nag-criticize kay Pinoy, no? Biglang parang nagre-react daw sa Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, kasi parang pansin ko sa ABS, mga others, hindi sila masyadong supportive sa marami sa kanila dun sa standard bearer ng Dilawan noong 2016. And some of them were actually happy that Duterte won, no? And some of them are now actually in the admin, right? Including Foreign Secretary, no? So, you know what I'm saying, Mark, here? Yung isa pang masasabi ko, Mark, dito is, let's be very clear. When we say Dilawan liberal, it's really a blanket rainbow kind of a term, no? In a sense na, kasi ang problema, Mark, sila lang, nag-aaway-aaway sila. Sila lang, they're really not on same page. Electorally, tignan mo, isang reason na nanalo si Duterte is because Poe versus Mar, right? That was an unresolved issue that opened up the space for someone like Duterte to come from behind. Kasi Poe and Mar attacking Binay, and then si Poe na sa issue ng citizenship, and then si Mar gusto maging Binay, hindi naman pwede. So if you look at it, very interesting. Really, Duterte came from behind habang nagsisiraan yung tatlo at divided si Poe and Mar dun sa vote ng mga liberal. Because many people who voted for Poe would be okay with Pinoy but didn't like Mar. Or there are people who like Mar and Aquino but didn't like Poe. In fact, until ngayon, sasabihin ko sa'yo, Marka, hanggang ngayon may bad blood eh. Hanggang ngayon may bad blood. Na they're blaming Poe for Mar losing. While Poe people are saying, excuse me, titingnan mo yung surveys, mas may chance talaga si Poe ever since. In fact, kung titingnan mo yung first and second choice, pag sinama mo yan, maraming second choice nila after Duterte is Poe. After Bina is Poe, not Mar. So actually, Poe was the better candidate according to the other camp. At hanggang ngayon, Mark,
meron pa rin.
hindi resolve yung issue na yan. Okay. Have you seen Leni and Poe being nice to each other or saying anything like that?
No.
I mean,
dahil din yun.
Parang di ko sinasabi, Mark, alam mo, common sense. I'll admit, I even told this to one senator, Senator De Lima. Sabi ko, bakit hindi kayo magsama sa isang lugar? Press conference kayo, United Front, ikaw, si Leni, si Maria Ressa, si Sereno. You know, lahat ng mga babae na naging kalaban ni Duterte. United Front, magsama kayo under one roof, mag-press conference kayo, ganun. It never happened. Alam mo, Mark, common sense yan sa ibang bansa. Kung may kalaban ka na napakalakas, katulad ni Duterte, mag-team up kayo, di ba? Hindi yung parang kahit each of them gusto maging David versus Goliath, di ba? Yung Rappler may sariling yung liberal may gano'n. Like, hindi sila, walang solidarity. Kasi ito, Mark, napansin ko, I've dealt with DDS people. You know, some of them have been close people. We have been having conversations. Of course, mas naging ako with them when I debated Saso 2 years ago. Solid sila together. Mark, they defend each other. Like kunyari, ako, ibabash ko yung isang vlogger nila. The next morning, 10 sila na mother blogger na attack. Tapos meron sila network. Now, Pero mo sabihin, mga bayaran mga yan. But there's genuine solidarity actually among them. Even though may rivalries din sila, alam natin, all bloggers may rivals. At the end of the day, they close the
And
ranks.
they protect tatay.
Ilang beses ako na-attack ng mga kabila. In fact, ang kabila ko ay marami. In-attack ako ng sobrang marahas ng mga liberals sa Twitter. Out of nowhere yan So, Facebook, galit na galit yung mga ibang DDS sa akin. Kasi kala namin supporter ka ni Pangulo. Ngayon, kinikriticize. Explain ko wala, hopeless case yun. Kasi tapos sa Twitter, biglang parang na-stop ako. What the heck, di ba? Kasi ikaw, Richard, enabler ka, pinapatulan mo yung mga DDS, Secret Duterte ka, di ba? Nung 2016-17 elections, ganun-ganun ka kay Duterte, meta-candidate, ganun. Parang grabe yung ginawa nila sa akin sa Twitter. I would say the biggest harassment I got was not from DDS or BBMers. It was really from the other side, bro. So doon ko nakita yung dark side. Grabe, pare. Tapos yung palahura nila sa Twitter, di ba? Witty talaga yun. Yung wala ka na respect.
Grabing tumira talaga.
Afterwards.
Tumatagos, ganun ba? Parang mas tumatagos.
Bro. Grabe din sila. So, hindi ko na kaya sinasabi ng kabila, patisente kayo. Pag kayo naman na nag-atake, parang sobrang below the belt. Well, they couldn't do that too much to me. Pero grabe din yung mga sinabi na masakit talaga. Pero makapal naman ang mukha ako. It's just that I was not prepared kasi dito ako. Biglang may punch from the back. What the heck, man? Like, di ba? So, doon nakita ko yung parang talagang mark na pansin ko. Like, when I was being attacked by the other side, walang solidarity masyado, bro.
Pero yun pa yung isang criticism ko din sa sa opposition Minsan napakalakas nung atake nila doon sa mga enabler kaysa doon sa actual na problema.
Yeah. Totoo yan.
Kasi mas madali
Parang yung one of us na nag-turn away, something like that, kaysa yung kabila, no? Right, you're right. The whole enabler woke hashtag thing, I think it got out of control. Like, parang, kunyari, hindi mo i-bash si Duterte, may sasabihin ka lang na medyo neutral, atakin ka, ay secret DDS ka, enabler ka, mas atakin nila. So, kung may time nga binabash ako ng mga liberals, ganun dilawan sa Twitter, tapos, si Senator Angara, nag-respond din siya, no? Like, parang welcome to my world. Kasi siya din inatake, di ba? Na-enabler siya. Yung mga ganon, di ba? Yung mga
ito, Richard,
medyo gitna.
I want to ask you this, sorry.
Go, Mark. Put me on the spot.
Ito, on the spot na tayo. Kasi, ang from where I view things, ang tingin sa iyo, ang tingin sa iyo nung ilang mga tao is you are hardcore opposition or hardcore dilawan. Siguro a lot from that coming from dun sa debate nyo before nila sasot and all. Baka yun yung naaalala. Pero yun nga, tanungin natin, Richard, are you dilawan?
Well, I mean, as I said, I criticized the Aquino administration over and over again. Why do you think the DDS were nice to me? Why do you think I was chosen as among the speakers for Dutertenomics Forum, right? Why do you think I've had functional, cordial, and not cordial, but at least functional communications with a lot of DDS people? I mean, Google yun lang yan. Everything is there. The reality is, though, of course, to a certain degree, I disagreed with President Duterte's attack on the Dilawan because I think naman unfair naman to blame everything on them. I believe that Ninoy did sacrifice himself for the country. Yes, hindi siya perfectong tao. Yes, he was ambitious and all. I'll defend him on that. Still, if that makes me Dilawan, then bahala kayo sa buhay, no? I defended Pinoy. God bless his soul, But you know what? I met Duterte first. I talked to Duterte first before Pinoy. Pinoy just called me out of nowhere 2019, nung before pandemic. Like, kumbaga, my level of communications with the Aquino administration is very low compared to DDS. To the third administration. Mas marami ako naging communications dito, no? Now, there are many factors for it. But for me, like, how can you be hardcore this side and then at the same time be accused? I think it's a compliment when you're being attacked by both sides to a certain degree. It's hard, but it means that wala kang side talaga. Because for the Dilawan to say I'm secret DDS, it's because I supported the president on certain issues. For instance, I don't agree na dapat rely lang tayo sa Amerika parate. I believe in a certain degree of engagement with China. Doon sa Bangsamoro, President Duterte has done a fantastic job in terms of supporting the rights of the Filipino Muslims. I'm not sure about kung na-support ng mga liberals in 2016 elections. I mean, I can go on and on. Ito yung sinabi ko kay President Aquino, God bless his soul. 2 years ago, I told him na Filipino people want to, because I criticize him on Mama Sapano. I really, really criticize him on Mama Sapano. in fact, a mentor of mine, he resigned from the Congress over that issue. No, mas left ang tingin sa akin actually because kasi liberals parang center sila to be honest, like center sila in a sense that wala naman silang revolutionary projects, di ba? Like they just go with the center flow, no? So ako minsan feeling ko kapos talagang liberals that, and this is where we go back to a deep issue, no? So Marcos, when he came to power, gusto niya ayusin itong mga kapalpakan ng mga liberal oligarchs. Marami sa kanila mga tuta talaga ng Amerika. Aminin natin yan, di ba? 50s, 60s, di ba? I love Magsaysay. At the same time, we know, who supported Magsaysay's campaign. So the reality is that the Philippine elite before the martial law, a lot of them were over-dependent on US. So I kind of supported Marcos. And in fact, Marcos stood up to US. Hindi siya tuta ng Amerika as many leftists want to put it. He wanted to get better deal from the US. He opened relations with China. But also Marcos wanted to parang reset the system. Parang, kung ganyan tayo, paulit-ulit lang. Trapo manalo, nakaw-nakaw, balik, trapo manalo, nakaw-nakaw. May freedom nga, pero average Filipinos, their living standards will not increase. But as we discussed in the previous episode, may mga kulang din dun sa strategy ni Marcos. I think the number one problem was over-reliance on the wrong cronies. Sana he did what Park Chung-hee and other leaders do. But please watch the other episode, andyan lahat ng details. So when tapos na yung term tapos ng Marcos rule, ito na yung chance ng mga old liberal, traditional politicians to fix the system, but they didn't do that. Parang kumbaga back to old times, no? Back to the future ang nangyari. So kung titingnan mo since 1986, walang mga tinatawag na structural reform, yung revolutionary change in the Philippines. I don't mean yung communist revolution, but what I mean is like land reform. Hanggang ngayon, ang daming mga magsasaka, hindi pa rin sila nag-benefit sa land reform. Yung ating telecommunications, hawak lang ng ilang kumpanya. Yung ating basic infrastructure, electricity, hawak lang ilang kumpanya. So yung oligopolistic practices, no? I mean, let me give you some numbers. Again, economics is one of my lifetime passions. I mean, 40 richest families, Mark, no, took home 76% of newly created growth. So kung yung growth natin panahon ni Aquino was 6-7%, 4 to 5% went to just 40 families. So talagang hindi magbe-benefit yung majority ng people. Kaya nga nagsulat ako ng libro, di ba? The Rise of Duterte was the title of my book. In fact, President Duterte has a copy of that. I can show you the picture of that. And I said, populist revolt against elite democracy. Yung oligarchy na nakahawak sa Pilipinas, I don't think our presidents after Marcos were able to shake them down. Kaya nga karamihan ng Pilipino, we didn't benefit from it. Yung mga problema ng panahon ni Marcos, they still continued under our time. So yes, we have political freedoms, pero socio-economic rights and freedoms, kapos talaga tayo doon. So even if nagkaroon tayo ng good growth under President Aquino, God bless his soul, I don't think it really trickled down to a lot of people. At the same time, a lot of these liberal supporters ay nag-a-act as if, di ba? As if ang ginawa nila was to bring about a golden age for all Filipinos, when in fact, ang mga nagbe-benefit mostly was yung mga nasa taas or upper middle class. Well, majority of Filipinos were still struggling to come up. Yes, my growth, my conditional cash transfer, but you need way more than that. And ito nga sanabi ko, di ba, Mark, in the past, ang problema from the Marcos era is wala tayong masyadong big industries na efficient like Samsung, Chaebol and all. So I can criticize Marcos for 21 years, but what about the 30 years after Marcos? They had a chance to do something about that. Industrial policy, trade policy. Bakit wala tayong Proton? Like Malaysia at least. Never mind Mitsubishi. Never mind Hyundai. Diba? Wala rin eh. So parang it's good to criticize yung kakulangan ng before, but if wala ka naman replacement na nagawa or wala kang ginawang decisive structural reforms, and then not to mention yung Hacienda Luisita, isang malaking issue yan. Again, it's unfair to blame Aquinos per se kasi may mga internal fights din sila with Cuangcos. We can go into that. But still, you had 2 presidencies under Aquinos, right? Siguro naman you had a little bit of chance. Yeah, so my point is, yun nga yung ginawa nyo nga kay Chief Justice Corona, di ba? I mean, ginanon talaga eh. O, di sana ganun din ang ginawa nyo dun sa mga ibang issues. So parang medyo kapos, no? At let's not forget, Mark, no? Marami ngayon na nasa I don't know, PDP Laban ally or member, I won't be surprised, andun rin sila sa Liberal Party Alliance dati in 2010. Yung mga nagbabandwagon na butterflies. So wala rin solid base grassroots talaga nangyari dun sa liberals. I would say a lot of liberals in the Philippines are what I call instrumental liberal. Like gusto lang nila yung liberalism as long as it protects their interests. Whether it's my freedom as a journalist, whether it's my my freedom as an oligarch to control the economy and not to be shut down and nationalized. But liberalism really is more than that, Mark, no? In other countries, in France, in US, in Europe, many people died for liberal values. And it's not the liberal party we're thinking about. What we're talking about is freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. Alam mo, people died to get these freedoms. People died for that because most of us were peasants and slaves, centuries ago, if not more recently. Why do you think ngayon kami ni Mark, ordinary people, hindi naman kami galing sa mga mayaman na family, can come and have this conversation freely? Because there were people who sacrificed their lives for liberal freedoms and values. So the Rizal is a liberal, but not necessarily a liberal party type, diba? So let's separate that, because I think the criticism against Liberal Party was that it's probably not liberal enough, like truly committed liberal. Kasi kung truly committed liberal ka, one of the things you're gonna achieve, Mark, a free open economy, hindi yung oligopolistic economy. In fact, a liberal means, open yung economy, hindi hawak ng ilang pamilya lang. So actually, based on that definition of liberalism, talo na. If you use the American definition, the one I used a while ago was the British liberalism. But if you use the American definition of liberalism, like Democrats, they push for healthcare, they push for childcare, they push for subsidies and food support for the poor.
So more progressive.
So more progressive, more like Bernie Sanders. Yun yung liberals sa US. But wala. So you look at our liberals, they're neither like the British liberals, Adam Smith type and all, open the economy because oligopolistic economy natin, no? At sila lang, may ilang lang naman nagko-control dito. And the second one is that they're not liberal in a progressive Sanders way like in the US, na to push for dun talaga sa interest ng middle class and the poor people. So in that sense, my concern with the liberals is that they have not, a lot of them, not all, there have been some good people, but a lot of them associated with the liberal camp are not truly liberals. A lot of them are just a bunch of snobs. They're just a bunch of people who can speak English well. Medyo may alam sa magaling lang sila manglait ng mga kabila, no? But
maybe they just socially liberal. Kasi may term na ganun, di ba?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe social liberal. So LGBT rights, mga ganun.
Rights.
Pero are either economically liberal? Are they gonna really push for breaking of oligopolies? Are they politically liberal in the sense that they're gonna tolerate criticism from other side? Kasi I didn't see that a lot. I was attacked as enabler at grabe yung mga attack nila sa akin. I didn't see tolerance. I didn't see freedom of expression. I saw bullying. Except makapal ang mukha ko. Diba? I mean, like, you're not gonna bully me. But patrip ako kasi parang dito na nga ako na tapos na-stop pa ako ng gano'n. So,
yung progressive sa atin is more on the makabayan block eh.
Exactly. Or akbayan or mga gano'n. Diba? Sila
kaso syempre they're connected with the, alam natin.
Liberals, right. Yeah. But yun nga parang, so, reality natin is, what we lack is really truly committed liberals. I mean, there are a lot of them, but hindi sila as consolidated as the other camps. So that's why talagang out of the sila. Which brings me to Leni, no? Because alam mo, Mark, okay, gets ko nung 2016 elections, yung makinarya ng Liberal Party medyo malakas noon, di ba? I mean, so siguro realistically, if you want to be a vice president, kalaban mo Marcos, di ba? Medyo siguro you have to rely. I think Bam Aquino was his campaign manager, something like that. But Robredos are not really liberal party, right? I mean, Jesse Robredo was Jesse Robredo. Jesse Robredo was really progressive liberal guy, God bless his soul, right? I think he was really a presidential. Kung sana lang he was still among us, di ba? Jesse Robredo, the way he took care of Naga, right? The way he served his people, progressive talaga. They're di ba, hindi sila yung mga katulad ng mga liberal na stylish. I mean, they're really, yung chinelas, di ba?
Chinelas nga
nila, di ba? Sila maluya behind that. That chinelas thing, it's just true. Talaga Robredos or progressive grassroots. Kaya my hope sana was, once Leni becomes the vice president, ito na, vice president ka na, she emphasizes more her Naga model, more the Robredo side, yung mga tulong niya sa mga magsasaka, yung grassroots, at parang yun nung medyo nawala.
And dapat nag-move away siya doon sa Liberal Party side na wala naman siya kinalaman talaga.
Kasi, diba? Exactly. Kasi, I mean, come on. Leni was not even in the conversation fierce. Even Jesse Robredo was not really liberal party, right? Naging DLG secretary sa Aquino, but Jesse Robredo had his own brand. So ako, Mark, ang basa ko ganito, I'm just being realistic about it. I think because ipit si Leni between Marcoses and Dutertes, her idea was that I have no time to go back to my... I have to rely on whoever is, kumbaga nasa camp ko na. Like parang alienating the Liberal Party in the middle of a fight with both Marcoses and Dutertes. I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine mo, from the moment na nalo si Leni, Marcoses were already questioning her mandate. Duterte was already attacking her. Pinatanggal na siya sa cabinet, right? So, do you think you're in a position? I don't know. But for
I have
me,
an answer to that.
Go, Mark. Because
Actually,
I'm trying to understand bakit hindi ginawa ni Leni yun eh. Kasi for me, kasi Mark, balik tayo sa 2016. Marami bumoto kay Leni kasi tingin nila kay Leni, parang Duterte rin. Like outside the box, galing probinsya, di ba? Di ba? Hindi naman national figure si Robredo eh. Simpleng tao rin siya, reluctant leader, yung mga ganon. So, yun yung image niya eh. Yun naman talaga si Leni eh. But biglang ngayon, parang Leni is like the new Mar or something like that, which she is not, di ba? I'm just being
very good
honest
point
about
actually.
It. Go,
Dapat
Mark.
she should have leaned more doon sa Jesse Robredo.
Yung back roots, yes.
Roots, more than the Liberal Party. And then also, doon sa sinabi mo nung pagpasok niya nung 2016, that is the same criticism then that I have for the Aquinos eh. Kasi they tried to take on the Dutertes and the Marcoses at the same time. Ang hirap. Kasi they were in power. Pero imagine if ganito ginawa nila. What if, for example, the Aquinos or maybe Leni, na maybe she's a little more open or nicer to the Dutertes, pero so she could focus yung laban niya with the Marcoses. So mas madali yung ano eh. And that also goes the same for the Aquinos eh. Like what Chris did a few months ago nung naglabas siya ng statement. I think that was very smart on Chris eh. So
actually, Chris Aquino, yeah, she is the very careful one. Diba? I mean, sorry I caught you because you made a very good point. Again, I may not agree with what kasi ganito, Mark, may extrajudicial killings and all that. Diba? Whether you agree or not, if that is your belief, parang it was impossible for Leni not to talk. At the same time, napansin ko si Chris, nakikipag-French, hindi naman friendship, but nakikipag-friendliness, di ba? Alam ko may event na dapat nag-host si Chris Aquino, Duterte was gonna speak, something like that, yung parang business forum or something like that. Parang interesting, Chris Aquino was the one playing it very safe, no? Navigating, no? Which I think eventually Leni tried to do, but going back to it, but that's a very good point you pointed out. Again, guys, we're not trying to be moral about this or ethical. We have positions here. We're just talking about reality politics.
And strategy. Kasi di ba yung sa statement ni Chris, di ba? She praised Bongo. She praised Locsin na she knows is loyal to her mom. Di ba? But at the same time, she attacked yung mga umaatake doon sa legacy ng kanyang ama. And alam ni Chris ito yung hindi magets ng liberal na ng ibang Aquino na alam ni Chris Aquino na hindi naman niya dapat kalaban ang mga Duterte. Ang kalaban ng mga Aquino ay mga Marcos kasi if the Marcos get back into power, sila yung mabubura sa kasaysayan. Yung mga Aquinos yung mabubura. So bakit mo susubukan kalabanin pareho when you're not in a position na kalabanin sila? So si Chris knew that. Alam ni Chris yan. Kaya I always say na...
So you're saying Chris should have been the chief strategist.
They should be more like Chris Aquino. That's what I'm saying to the Liberal Party. So and actually punta na tayo sa
But one second, Marca, before that, kasi one criticism of Aquinos is that padisente kayo and everything like that, which I believe Pinoy was a decent person. I think Cory and all of them were. At the same time, si Chris Aquino, I mean, daming scandal, controversy, you know what I'm saying? Like, kasi alam ko marami akong friends na Duterte supporters and all back in this, especially, nakita ko their attack was like, padisente kayo, tingnan mo si Chris Aquino. Like, Chris was actually a liability for the Aquinos. That's the argument that they were making. But you're saying at the same time, she's actually at the same time very pragmatic, no?
But no one is 100% na disente. Yun yung problema kasi. Na you can't paint everyone.
Definitely.
Diba? How will you paint a side na disente na may lahat naman yan. Merong konting immorality, may konting ano.
Yeah.
So not
by the way, bro, we're saying in public, no? Iba yung public decency sa private, walang pakialaman, bro. I mean, we're all entitled to it.
But the other side doesn't care about that. They will use
Oh, no,
your private
they like
private
it. They like
immorality, di ba?
defying it. Ayaw nila ng
Oo.
it's just like Trump, di ba?
Walang
Defying
choice.
political correctness. Yeah, it's the more real, authentic one. Yun yung position nila. But you were saying, sorry, Mark, I caught you on that. You were saying.
Hindi yan. So which goes on to my next point kung ano ba yung dapat gawin ng Liberal Party. How will they go moving forward? Sa akin, ang pinaka-advice ko talaga is a total rebranding. Iba talaga to move away na kasi the old strategy is not working. And gusto kong i-tackle din yung ito very simple lang din na kitang-kita mo kung saan nagre-fail yung Liberal Party. Okay? Sa simple na word na dilawan. Okay? So ito, try natin ha. So, 'di ba kanina I asked you. So ngayon, tanungin mo ako, Richard, kung dilawan ba ako?
Dilawan ka ba, Mark?
Yung brief ko, dilawan.
Ayun, ito na yung underwear issue.
May underwear. Dito na papunta. Yung brief ko, dilawan. So,
why that color?
That's Nung una, I wanted to make a statement na yung dilawan, the word, Liberal Party, the people, the opposition, masyadong affected ng word na dilawan. But kung iisipin mo, defensive, I mean, affected din, defensive at the same time. Pero kung iisipin mo, what does it mean? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng dilawan? If I wear yellow underwear, does that make me dilawan? Diba? Kasi ang nangyari sa kabilang side, itabi ko na tong yellow underwear ko. Ang nangyari,
yes, please. Let's get out of the underwear business.
Ang nangyari sa kabilang side, they would call everyone na against them as dilawan. Pero kung isipin mo, what does that mean? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng dilawan? Dilawan is whatever that you don't like, yun yung dilawan. So why would you be affected with a word na ginawa lang nung kalaban mo? So ganun kasimple, hindi katulad nung sa DDS. Nung una it means yung Davao squad, 'di ba?
Death squad.
Death squad, 'di ba? Pero they owned the word. They
rebranded it.
They rebranded the word, 'di ba? And
so branding ang issue. Branding talagang issue.
Yeah, and mapapansin mo, yung mga nakikriticize sa administration, what do they always say? Hindi ako dilawan, pero tingin ko ganito. So parang defensive na kagad. They use dilawan as a very dirty word.
Yeah.
Na parang pag dilawan
it's like
ka,
N-word. It's the N-word.
Yeah,
it's like the L-word. Yeah.
Na pag dilawan ka, very corrupt ka. Na parang walang corruption na nangyayari sa kabilang side. Lahat naman ng side mayroong corruption na nangyayari. Yeah. So that's what.
But Mark, let me put it this way. I mean, okay, you can accuse me of being dilawan, but I'm sorry. I don't think President Aquino and President Cory were corrupt. I don't think so. And I think that makes them very, very unique. I'm not saying anything about the others, but kahit anong sasabihin mo sa admin nila, I'm willing to accept. But I believe, I believe in my heart, talagang good sila in a sense that they had integrity, they were not corrupt people. Siguro,
but the people around them, diba?
Well, people around them, okay, we can have a discussions about that too. I think that was the problem. Dapat sana nag-fire si Aquino ng more people back in his days. Or at least
pero corruption kasi is really hard to in the country kasi ang dami mong tatamaan. I always use the saying sa vlog ko na ang Pilipino galit lang sa corruption pag hindi sila kasama.
Pag hindi sila nag-benefit.
Pag hindi sila nagbe-benefit, pag hindi sila naambunan. Pero pag naambunan sila, parang pwede na. So
true in a sense that I mean, okay, kasi ganito, Mark, no. The fish rots from the head, as the Italians put it, right? At least you could say during the Aquino era, both mother and son, I don't think corrupt yung silang dalawa. I think the problem was just some of the people around them were allowed to get away a little bit with some of their shenanigans, perhaps. But we still need to get to the bottom of that. I cannot say the same thing with Estrada administration. I'm not sure about the, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna go more than that, but you know, I think that should count for something. The good intentions that these presidents had, and the fact that they were not corrupt themselves. I think that. So if it makes me dilawan to say that, then bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. But I think that's a fact. But let me just put it this way, Mark. No, ang majority ng Pilipino ay neither dilawan nor DDS. No, you want to call them silent majority, whatever. But most Filipinos have mixed views on all presidents because all of our presidents were questionable. So I think the last thing we want is ma-box in tayo. Ito yung term na false binary eh. our history is not just Marcos versus Aquino. Our current politics is not liberal versus CTS. Ang daming ibang mga Pilipino, ang daming ibang views. Hindi lang tayo organized. Yan ang problema natin. Tayo majority eh. Di ba? But di tayo organized. So these are people who are defining us and then imposing this brackets and these categories and pigeonholing us. And yan ang talagang problema. I've written a lot on that. No? I think I had one column, neither DDS nor Dilawan. No, like, why should we be defined by both sides? Kasi I'm not saying they're the same necessarily, but I'm saying like, why should we define by being either or? So I think that's why. I mean, we're just being Filipinos, with as citizens we have points of view. And siguro in these elections we may like someone, you and I, who's neither DDS or Dilawan, but that doesn't mean we're gonna be fanatic about that person. At least in my case, I would promise that, right? So anyway,
kaya siguro regarding that point na yan, kaya siguro sa channel ko, I was very clear from the very start where my channel stood. Na I was pro Vico, pro Isko. So yun yung
but
ano
it's more like you like the young new generation. No, I mean the same thing with me, right? Kaya nga tayo naging friends, di ba? Kasi both of us welcome this development kasi we want to move forward, di ba? Tama na. Parating either or. Let's move forward. Yun ang talagang gusto natin.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark. Because now we want to talk about Leni. No? Because the last 15 minutes na tayo. Now let's go to Leni. Because I'll just say it quickly. I've already done analysis on that. You can check my channel. I don't think game over for Leni. Let's remember, Leni was like what? Kulelat siya nung vice presidential, di ba? She still made it. But of course, the difference is that LP during that time was LP. But
and
now,
she was an unknown quantity at that time. Eh.
Unknown quantity. So, but now, dahil inatake siya ng two very powerful sides, may baggage na siya. And hindi niya na-distance yung masyado. So, ironically, she may start stronger than 2016, but she may not end up as good as 2016, right? But alam mo, napanood mo ba yung videos na noong 2016? I got to watch it. Ang fiery niya. Ang fiery ni Leni. Yung talaga the way she would attack BBM and all. Parang I want to see that more. Kasi napansin ko sa maraming tao sinasabi na, alam mo, okay si Ma'am Leni, pero parang masyadong mabait. Parang we have had that eh. May Cory na tayo, di ba? What we need is yung matapang, may malasakit. I used already the Sara Duterte line yata. But that's exactly what, kaya siguro nilagay nila. Because yun ang hanap ng tao, decisive, matapang. Kaya sabi ko nga baka mawala mga Dutertes next year, but populism will be here, especially decisive populism will be here. And we'll have a discussion on that. Siguro next episode natin, I was thinking yung tinatawag na polite populism and how Isko Moreno fits into that. But the role model I think there is Joko Widodo ng Indonesia, no? Ito yung mga populist pero polite populist, no? So they have the same dynamism and all, but they do it very differently. So next episode pag-usapan natin yan, the rise of polite populists, no? From Jokowi to Isko Moreno and all, and that will also be my column this week, no? So pwede natin pag-usapan yan so we can have more Isko. But going back to Leni, my point is, BBM could still join, so pwede mag-split pa rin yung vote. Isko is doing strong now, but so was Poe, right? So I mean, I'm not saying. I'm
anything can happen. But I'm saying
but I'm saying Isko has to be careful na hindi mangyari sa akin yung nangyari kay Grace, because Isko is sobrang mabango rising star, the same way that Poe was in 2015. It was not Duterte. It was Poe who was the rising star in the fourth quarter of 2015. Let's keep that in mind, right? So Isko has to watch that out. May internal issue din ng PDP laban. Pacquiao is still another big unknown quantity. So Leni conceivably has still some chance, right? And then, as you said, if they can rebrand, who knows if it's too late or not. But kasi ganito Mark, politics tends to be zero-sum. And if there's anything that happened because of pandemic, is I think there are serious issues with the competence of this administration. Dito political, let's just be very honest. Competent pa talaga yung management natin. Tignan mo lahat ng surveys. Purong kulelat ng Pilipinas, right? Some worse, some a little bit less than worse, right? Then there are issues of corruption scandal, right? DOH, among others, against this and that, So I think there's some room for the opposition to kind of make a comeback, right? Maybe not as strong as they want, but theoretically there's there. And if Leni picks a strong VP, right? Again, that's far from assured. Who knows? She might still have a, have a fighting chance. But let's say about that. I mean, what decisions she's gonna make. I mean, at least she showed openness and pragmatism. Mukhang nakausap niya si Pacquiao, although Lacson was trying to also come in the picture. But I don't know, what's your fearless forecast? You think Leni will just give way? Kasi Governor Bicol, mahirap yun eh. Mas madali nga tumakbong senador, di ba?
Tingin ko baka mas madali yung senador na lang kaysa
Although she
governor
said
ng ano.
that this
Mas madali
week,
siguro if she goes back to Congress or ayun, sure win yun sa Naga or mayor ng Naga uli. She can rebuild. Ako
Arroyo style, back to Congress.
Or yun nga, kahit alin doon. Pero I think yun nga, I think after this election, Leni, it's too late to rebrand at this point kasi election na next year. Pero after this election,
long-term challenge na yan.
Oo.
So long-term.
Ito ang problema ko kay Leni. I mean, totoo naman na everyone has a chance kasi who knows, di ba? Maraming pwedeng mangyari in the next 8 months. So,
Right.
pwedeng maghati-hati. So, pero ang biggest obstacle kay Leni. Kasi ito ang napapansin ko sa social media, sa all the time that at the time there, na maraming tao na they are fed up with Duterte, pero they will never vote for someone na dilawan. So
they don't see it as an alternative. Yep, I see what
I mean, for the last 5 years, they have been against the dilawan. They will never vote for one. For someone na dala-dala nung Liberal Party. Parang pride na lang nila eh. Parang I don't like to vote for Duterte na. I want to try someone else.
So they're not gonna vote against their previous vote. That's what you're saying.
Maraming mga Pilipino ang
even
never LP. So yun ang they would vote for maybe a Pacquiao, a Isko, a BBM, but never liberal, never Leni.
Parang nag-never again din sila. Parang gano'n.
Oh.
Parang, okay, I get what you're saying. I think it's completely understandable for a lot of people. And I think, sometimes, as I said nga, sometimes Duterte reigns by default. I mean, the reason people are sticking with him is because they say, wala namang ito ba alternative mo? Wag na, di ba? I mean, di ba, that has been the story of the past 5 years. The idea that there's no alternative to Duterte. Like, eto na yan. This is the best we are gonna get under current circumstances until, of course, let's say BBM or Isko and all are gonna join the race. But that's an issue. But let me just segue a little bit because I discussed her a while ago. What about Grace Po? What do you think about Grace Po? She's doing okay in service parate. She's effortless in nagtatop ng Senate. I mean, what do you think about her? Because I think Poe was very strong candidate in 2016. What do you think about that? Because Poe is liberal. She's not liberal party, but she's liberal, right? She believes in liberal values, right? Yeah.
Hindi ko siya maramdaman sa social media. Nagtataka din ako dyan sa survey na yan. Bakit parati siyang kasama? So I'm not...
Malakas Poe eh. Malakas sa masa.
Pero syempre, isang factor din dyan, si FPJ, parang mas matagal na wala sa atin or nung pumanaw. So mas less, the more people forget about FPJ. So hindi, pero yun nga kasi on my side sa social media hindi ko maramdaman si Grace Po. Wala akong makita na diehard na Grace Po online na lumalabas. Pero alam ko may mga taong gusto
Mark,
siya.
But that was the issue with Biden, right? Wala namang excited kay Biden, either Sanders or Trump, right? And yet in the end yung boring candidate won. The one who played safe.
But that was that was anti-Trump. Maraming boto doon is anti-Trump. In the same way.
So you don't think people will support Poe against Duterte or
ang paniniwala ko, the anti-Duterte will support the number 2 candidate. Whoever has the best chance to beat Sara. So kung sino man 'yon, they will coalesce, they will form a coalition around that. Yun ang paniniwala ko na pag malapit na sa election, if that's Grace Po, if that's Pacquiao, if that's Isko, kung sino ang number 2, ang clear number 2 at that time, yung mga anti-Duterte will support that. Yun ang aking
what about as VP? Don't you think Grace Po could be a VP to any of the top candidates or kind of team up?
Kasi siguro I'm coming from the side ng social media na hindi ko siya maramdaman eh. Siguro kasi social media is not everything. Iba yung nangyayari sa ground, iba yung nangyayari sa mainstream.
But it gives you some flavor.
Oo eh. Pero more or less medyo nararamdaman na ano ko naman eh. Kumbaga yung service lumalabas din kung ano yung nakikita sa social media. I don't think
Yes, may konting
baseball is-
connection na rin. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's wrap up this episode. Medyo intense, no? I mean, we can go on forever. Ako lang naman, we're not here naman to just bash anyone or anything like that. We're just trying to understand how did the project of liberalism or the Liberal Party project, end up in the place it is today. I mean, it's one of the oldest parties with the Nationalist Party, no, na still around, no. And to see, parties out of nowhere now suddenly, calling the shots, no. I mean, I think it raises. For me, ito talagang soul searching talagang kailangan ng liberals, no. Maybe they have to have new party. Maybe they have to have complete new brand. Maybe they should go more Sanders progressive. I don't know, Jokno style. I don't know. They have to try something new. Mukhang hindi talaga nag-work itong. People have moved on, no. Or who knows, Mark? Baka naman parang nangyari kila Marcos after another 6 years, biglang mainit-init na naman. No? If they do some rebranding, right? Perhaps, no?
They should rebrand. And like I said kanina, the Liberal Party should be more like Chris Aquino. Yun lang. They already have Chris Aquino.
I'm not sure I agree with you on that, but I see the pragmatic point you were trying to make. Yeah. Para sa akin talaga nagkataon lang. All the stars aligned against them since 2016. So many factors came together. Let's not forget one big issue in 2019, which I term as Monday Night Massacre. Talagang nag-zero sila. Diga 8 diretso, naging 0 diretso. It's because, I mean, nahirapan nga sila to even campaign, di ba? In fact, one accusation was that pag na-host yung isang LGU ang mga Dilawan, baka ma-end up ka sa drug list. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark, let's just be brutally honest. The Philippines is not exactly the same Philippines as 2016 and 2010 and so on and so forth. No, probably we're gonna look more like 2004 in 2022 than 2010. And let's just be brutally honest about that. So I'm just saying, for whoever wants to challenge the Dutertes, whether you're Marcos, whether you're Isko, whether you're Leni, keep that in mind, right? 2022 might be a little bit more like 2004 than 2010 season. But I hope not. But I'm just saying, this is kasi yung nakita natin 2019, hindi man lang makipag-campaign yung opposition. Hirap na hirap sila. They were boxed out completely, bro. So, the field has changed, no? But let's keep it there because I'm sure once Leni makes a decision, it might come sooner than we think. She had an interview with Karen Davila with ABS this week. She ruled out already running for the Senate. So that's mukhang governor, mahirapan din siya. So let's see what's going to be her. My sense is she's going to wait for the survey. No, if the survey puts her in the top 4 or 5, then I think she's going to run. And then let's go now. But if she's not in top 5, and I want to end on this point, it's possible she'll endorse someone else. And the one I can think about is, of the top ones, is Isko.
Team Manila.
Yon.
Siyempre, sponsor Team Manila.
And our next episode will be, of course, on Isko. We're going to discuss more on Isko and comparisons with other world leaders like Joko Widodo of Indonesia. We can even discuss Macron of France, among others. No, we can discuss that. But I just want to get your view, pick your mind on this issue. No, before we end. What do Isko people feel with the possibility of Leni supporting Isko? What is the dynamics between Isko and Leni? I mean, I've seen some good dynamics between them, but what do you think, sir? Give me some of your insights.
Yeah. Yun nga, maganda yung pinoint out mo, 'di ba? Sabi mo nga yung 8 diretso. Kasi I think one big factor why Leni is struggling and the Liberal Party is struggling kasi they spent all this time din na opposing the president, and yung president spent all this time din trying to destroy them. Unlike Isko Moreno, na instead of trying to
picking a fight,
he just kept on working kung ano yung trabaho niya. So I think that made a big difference na by the time na Isko Moreno is starting to pick a fight with the people from the administration, he's more on a stable footing na. So I think yun yung main difference nung dalawang type ng strategy na yon. But yun, at the same time, yung tanong mo na what do we feel na Leni Robredo supporting Isko Moreno, syempre it makes sense na for us na gusto namin na umatras si Leni kasi we feel na majority of her votes will go to Isko. And
Rather
and
than Sara, of course, or
hindi,
Marcos, right?
yeah, and parang hindi ko din ma-imagine na you are for Leni, tapos if she doesn't run, you would vote for a Duterte. Parang napaka-konti nung chance na ganon. So, of course, we are very much welcome na Leni
If
would
ever mangyari.
would not
Give
run kasi
way.
we feel that she would eat up votes dun sa kampo ni Isko. But at the same time, I also make an effort to try to convince the voters or the people watching na even if Leni Robredo joins our camp, that we are still the ones in control. That yung
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, yeah.
because the opponent will try to paint na tinan mo,
secret candidate kayo ng Dilawan.
yun. So yun ang din ang I will try to show them na hindi, Isko is his own person, may sarili siyang diskarte, may sarili siyang plano for the nation.
Yes.
Na different from the other camps. So yun, basically yun yung reaction
Isko
ko dun sa balita.
the kind of is Isko a preview of what the future liberalism should look like? Let me again clarify. I'm not talking about liberal party. I'm talking about liberalism, which is a belief in, freedom of expression, freedom of press, free economy, competitive economy. I mean, I'm looking at Isko. He's saying things that are classical liberal. You could hear in liberal in Britain, right? Or if not in the US, no? So I would say Isko is a liberal, not necessarily liberal party, but liberal person. And perhaps he gives us some preview of what liberals should do and should push for a future. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out because Isko said, diba? I mean, he believes in evidence-based public policy. Hindi siya believes sa extrajudicial killings, right? I mean, although of course he has his own populist style, but he seems to have some fundamental liberal tendencies. And that's why it's the next episode, I'm going to make comparisons between him, Macron of France, Joko Widodo of Indonesia, and some of the other young progressive leaders, who have some populist appeal, but they're not necessarily populist like Donald Trump or President Rodrigo Duterte or Jair Bolsonaro ng Brazil. So I think that would be a very interesting discussion. And of course, dyan tayo nagsimula, Mark, our friendship. Rise of a new form of populism. No, I call them polite populism. I mean, they're called polite populism. I'm using the term for
and for sure next week ang daming balita na nangyari na niyan for sure.
Okay, so mukhang within the week siguro or within this week we might get an idea ano bang magiging lineup, no? Ano bang labanan, kasi if this narrows down to Isko and Sara Duterte or even with Bongbong, then it's going to be very very interesting dynamic. Although mukhang who knows, baka there are going to be other players too that we're going to discuss, but mukhang the top contender so far we have an idea sino mga yan at this point if we're going to take a snapshot of the race. Maraming salamat, Mark. No, that was a intense conversation.
The Marcos
ka
na sa Twitter.
That was intense. Ako, marami magalit na liberal naman sa akin. Marami magalit sa akin. Marcos, liberal, wala na matitira. BTS sana mag-support sa akin. No, I'm just kidding. Oh my Lord. Yeah, this is what you get, no? For saying what you have to say. So yun lang. Project Pilipinas tayo dito, hindi Project Dilawan, Project DDS, Project Isko. We're not, no? Although of course we may have our own personal preferences and all, but we're going to discuss even more. And of course next we're going to discuss Iskoismo, no? And the new form of populism, no? And bakit napakalakas ito, and bakit 2019 pa lang pinag-usapan namin ni Mark na this could be the future of the Philippine politics. Maraming salamat, guys, and there we wrap it up, episode 4 of Project Pilipinas.
Bye-bye.